Hello and welcome. You're listening to the Expertly German podcast. I'm Tom, your host, and you're here to learn German. Today, we are doing an episode about prepositions. Before we start that, make sure to go on my website, expertlygerman.com. You can book group lessons there, and you can also book private lessons there. Feel free to look into that. Here is the topic of today: the German prepositions. So the German prepositions are, well, sometimes a little bit difficult to get your head around. First, let's make sure we know what prepositions are. Prepositions are words that help us to determine the connection between the object and the rest of the sentence, mainly in terms of time and place. Yeah, the object is the thing that is affected by the action of the verb. And we want to see how that is related to the rest of the sentence. For example, we have accusative prepositions. So prepositions that are always followed by the accusative case. And I have 5 of these that I want to go through with you today. The first one is für, which is for. For example, you could say, ich arbeite für das Unternehmen. I work for the company. So here you can't really see that it's the accusative case, but let's use maybe a masculine object. Ich arbeite für den Mann. There you can see a bit more clear that you're using the accusative after the preposition für. The next one is gegen, which also is followed by the accusative case. Gegen, the translation would be against. For example, der Mann spielt gegen die Frau. Die Frau here is also in the accusative case. The man plays against the woman. The third one is durch, which means through or across. For example, ich schwimme durch das Wasser. I swim across the water, or I swim through the water. That was the third one. The fourth one is ohne, which is without. Der Hund spaziert ohne den Besitzer. So here, Besitzer is masculine. Here you can see a bit more clear that it's the accusative case. Der Hund spaziert ohne den Besitzer. The dog is walking without the owner. And the last of the 5 is which is at or around. For example, die Katze geht den Tisch. The cat goes around the table. Den Tisch. Here again, also followed by the accusative case. So we had those 5 accusative prepositions: für, gegen, durch, ohne, which is für, for, gegen, against, durch, through or across, ohne, without, at, or around. Then we have a second list of prepositions, which is followed by the dative case. The first one here is aus, which means out of or from. For example, ich gehe aus dem Haus. I go out of the house. We can see here with dem that we're having a dative preposition. The next one is bei, which is near or at. For example, du bist bei deiner Schwester. Usually it is die Schwester, but here we are having the possessive pronoun in the dative case. Du bist bei deiner Schwester. You are at your sister's, or you are at your sister's place. Then mit is a very common one. Mit, the translation is with, and an example sentence would be, der Hund spielt mit der Katze. The cat is playing with the dog. The next one is nach, which means after or to. For example, nach dem Unterricht werde ich schlafen. After the class, I will sleep. Nach dem Unterricht, there we can see that is the dative case. Seit would be the next one, which means since or for. Seit den Ferien habe ich zugenommen. I've gained weight since the holidays. Or since the holidays, I've gained weight. Seit den Ferien. Also hier Dativ Plural, den Ferien. The next one is von, which is from or of. For example, wir möchten uns von dem Training erholen. We want to recover from the training. Von dem Training erholen. And the last one is zu, which is to. For example, er hat die Tomaten zum Kochen gekauft. He bought the tomatoes to cook. So, er hat die Tomaten zum Kochen gekauft. And the third list is the genitive prepositions list. Here I only have a couple of examples, not the full list because it's a longer list. So I give you 5 words, 5 prepositions that always take the genitive case. The first one is aufgrund, or you could also say wegen, which means due to. Aufgrund der Ferien gibt es keinen Unterricht. Usually it is die Ferien, right? Nominative plural, die Ferien, but we have aufgrund der Ferien aufgrund followed by the genitive case. There are no classes due to holidays. That's the translation. Trotz or ungeachtet is the second preposition for the genitive, and that is despite or notwithstanding. Trotz des Regens gehe ich spazieren. Despite the rain, I go for a walk. Trotz des Regens. Clearly, that is a genitive case. Anstelle or statt, which is instead of. Anstelle eines Hundes hat sie eine Katze gekauft. Instead of a dog, she bought a cat. And the next one is nördlich, which is north of. An example sentence would be: Nördlich der Stadt gibt es einen See. There is a lake north of the city. And the last preposition is oberhalb, above. Ich habe starke Schmerzen oberhalb des Knies. I have severe pain above the knee. Let me repeat the genitive prepositions that I chose here. Aufgrund, due to, trotz, despite, anstelle, instead of, nördlich, north of, oberhalb, above. And now we come to the last list of prepositions, and those are two-way prepositions. They can either take the accusative case or the dative case. Which case we have to choose depends on how the context of the sentence is. For example, if I say, ich gehe hinter das Haus, then I'm using after the preposition hinter, which is behind, the accusative case, because I have a movement or a change. Or I could also ask, where to do I go? Behind the house. Ich gehe hinter das Haus. I go behind the house. However, if I would say I am behind the house, I would say ich bin hinter dem Haus. I am behind the house. Here, I use the dative case because I'm talking about a specific location. That's the difference. You apply the same rule for all of the following prepositions. For example, the first one is an, which is on or to. The next one is auf, which is on or upon. Then we have hinter, which is behind. We have in, which is in or into. We have neben, which is next to. We have über, which is over. We have unter, which is under. We have vor, which is before or in front of. And we have zwischen. Try to create sentences with all of these prepositions that I just told you. You can rewind, and then you can check if they are right or wrong. If you want to know more about this topic, you can go to my website, expertlygerman.com, and I've made a blog post about exactly this topic. So feel free to read more about this and to get more information. Again, thank you very much for listening and learning with me today. And I hope you enjoyed this lesson. Feel free to leave me a comment, subscribe this podcast. So cheers, guys, und bis bald.